Good afternoon, all of you. And extremely sorry to have kept you waiting. It was just that the class will start now. There's one person asking among you when will your class start. All right. Okay. I would have loved to see you 40 minutes back so that I'm on track of finishing things today itself. Tomorrow, of course, everybody is invited. Please be here. Would love to see you once in the classroom. उसके बाद तो IES वाले लोग तो मिलते रहेंगे. जो ऑप्शनल वाले आप लोग हो, आप थोड़े दिन के लिए गायब हो गए. अब मैं आपको पहले actually I was finalizing all that with the team, so I got delayed. What I was finalizing was क्या बोल हाँ मैं मीटिंग ही कर रहा था तो वो मीटिंग कुछ नहीं मीटिंग कुछ चीज़ों को लेके थी विद मिस्टर बी सिंह रिगार्डिंग हाउ आई वांट टू प्लान actually what I wanted to design your test series and you just give me 5 minutes and then I'll start teaching you but I wanted to share this with you so that I get your approval also. I'm designing your test series as a mini crash course for you. All right, I'll tell you what I mean by a mini crash course. One, say for example, if the first test is of micro macro, we will begin with from 17th June as the test date. But from 5th June will be the micro paper uploaded, or those of you who will come offline will get it printed. So 5th June, micro paper, and 12th June, macro paper, practice paper. And these practice paper, you will get the discussion on these papers by me. But first you will have to, or I will believe that you go through the things on your own. In the practice papers, I will deliberately put certain topics which we have not done in the class, and they have not come also, but who knows about things. So I'll put it in that way. So two ways is how I will design the practice paper. One will be when I will be asking you questions from topics we have not done. Second will be on topics that we have done. I will twist the language a little bit, just to make sure that in case there is a twisted language question, you get to know, okay, this is what they are asking me. After the practice paper discussion, 17th June to 27th June will be the time I will give you to write the micro macro test. All right, 10-11 days. 27th June, I will do the discussion of the paper. मतलब मैं आपको प्लान बताता हूँ क्या है. 10 दिन का टाइम मिले आपको टेस्ट लिखने के लिए. 10 दिन में से किसी भी एक दिन तुम टेस्ट लिख सकते हो. All right, ऑनलाइन या ऑफलाइन. जो लोग ऑफलाइन हो वो ऑफलाइन एंड ऑफ कोर्स वाइस वर्सा. From 27 June onwards, or 27 June evening or 28th June morning will be the paper discussion. Similarly then, second paper thing begins. You will get practice paper for international economics, practice paper for development theory, this time with a gap of say 4 days each, because अब prelims का time खत्म हुए time हो चुका रहेगा, तो तुम जल्दी revise कर सकते हो. So start doing that. The idea is that we finish with your test series by sometimes around 25th August, so that we are 20 days ahead of the mains exam while finishing the test series. You are free to take, again I repeat, the test anytime between the two. And the questions in the test series I will set in such a way that it covers a revision of your entire course once again. That is what I was discussing and planning with the team, including Mr. B. Singh, about how to design it as a crash course program. All right. Those of you who will qualify prelims, it is not for everyone. Those of you who will qualify prelims, क्योंकि जब भी qualify कर लो prelims, जरूरी नहीं इसी साल, तुम जब भी qualify कर लो, I will give you accessibility to all past year paper discussion. There is a course that we run for past year paper discussion at a very, very subsidized rate. But my students will get that accessibility to past year paper discussion with no charges taken. All right, आपसे कोई चार्ज लिया नहीं जाएगा. आप प्रीलिम्स क्लियर करोगे तो वो पास्ट ईयर पेपर डिस्कशन कोर्स आपको मैं वैसे ही अवेलेबल कर दूंगा. वो जानबूझ के अवेलेबल प्रीलिम्स के बिना नहीं कर रहा हूं क्योंकि वो यूजलेस होगा. अगर प्रीलिम्स क्लियर नहीं करते हो तो मैं फिर रिपीट कर रहा हूं और सुनने में डिफीटिस्ट लगता है. कुछ लोग बोलते भी हैं कि आप नेगेटिव बात बोल रहे हो. मैं नेगेटिव नहीं बोलता हूं, मैं प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर ऑल सिचुएशंस की बात करता हूं. ऐसे ही मैंने अपनी लाइफ भी लीड की है तो आपको भी सिखाता हूं. That I try to be prepared for whatever are the consequences. I am working, I am doing something. So that's what I'm telling you. My only expectation from you will be that as much as possible, write the tests, finish them off, and cover your optional. Whether you are appearing 23 or 24, that's not the concern. Cover your optional, seal it up. If you have sealed up your optional by August, September, you will have enough time, even if you are a 24 preparee, you will have enough time so that you can revise your GS well and do some minor answer writing practice of optional here and there. There is one more thing I have decided, and I have asked the team to create time for me. Today they were finding out how many hours did I teach the last year. So when it went beyond 2200 hours, they said, sir, let's leave it. But they're still counting. But it was beyond 2200 hours, the last we counted. Taking all my classes and my schedule and all that, my teaching hours. तो वो उसके ज़्यादा चलेगा नहीं, वो आर्ली बेसिस की पेमेंट नहीं होती, पेमेंट तो कुछ और तरीके से होती है हमेशा उसी चिंता में लगा पैसे कितना बनाया होगा इसने, जाने दो वो, सोचो फिर MIT भी है, क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं, उठा लो मुझे ओके, forget that. So forget that. Money is never the concern. अगर मनी कंसर्न रखोगे तो कोई आदमी कभी काम ना करे हम लोगों के क्लास ऑफ पीपल से, क्योंकि जितने मनी चाहिए घर चलाने के लिए और सिस्टम चलाने के लिए, उतने तो घर में ही जन्म हो गया, तो क्यों काम करें फिर? That is the aspect. मैं तुमसे बता भी चुका हूँ पहले. I've told you earlier also. I used to joke with my mother when I was a kid that she would say that if you don't study, then how will your life run? Where will the money come from? And I would scare her, telling her that dad has this 3-storied building, 2 stories I'll put on rent, and 1 in which I will live. What's the point now worrying about future? Future is all settled. You guys have settled it for me. And she used to be terribly worried about it. She used to think this is his plan. that is how he's planning to live. But anyway, so jokes apart, but wo chinta mat karo. But no, what pleases me is the affection that, and a hell lot of that I get from you. So please be considerate and keep giving that. Now coming to my point, what I will be doing, I have asked them to make a schedule for me. Between your prelims and mains, for IES people it will begin from April itself. But before your exam, what I will be doing is, every week, 1 session will be for GS, or maybe 2 if the time permits, but 1 at least is what I have told them put across. GS economy, discussing with you either some current affair or some answer writing. For not much, half an hour, 35 minutes. And another session will be for optional, where I will be discussing with you, picking up 1 answer or 1 topic, maybe some tricky topic where I suspect you will forget, and so on. And that I plan to continue doing now onwards throughout. So this year, of course, you don't bother. This year, in any case, with test series and all, you are in tune. But next year onwards, we can hopefully be of more use to you also and to others also. Any suggestion, I again repeat, you are free, all of you have my number. Any suggestions by which, मैं कल ये बातें बोलना चाहता था, लेकिन आज बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि तुम्हें दिमाग, कल तो फिर कुछ और ही माहौल रहेगा, तो आज तुम्हें बोल रहा हूँ इसीलिए, that you want to give regarding how I can improve, how next IS can improve itself, feel free to just share a message with me. And I mean it. मैं आपको बताता हूँ, पहले जब मैं पढ़ाकर निकलता हूँ, आप अभी भी पूछिएगा, जो टेक्निकल इंचार्ज होते हैं, जब बजट का भी सेशन खत्म करता हूँ, नेक्स्ट IAS, I mean economic survey I finish, I ask them that could I have done better there, was I doing okay, was I audible, were things fine, could you understand what I was saying? So they used to think earlier, especially Abhishek ji, who is the academic director here, he used to think that I am testing him. उन्होंने बोला मुझे बाद में कि सर मुझे लगता था आप परीक्षा ले रहे हो कि मेरे समझ में आती हैं चीज़ें या नहीं, फिर बाद में रियलाइज किया आप ऐसे ही हो. Because I ask everyone that what else I can do to improve. So I'm asking you also, you are my children, but whatever can be done for any, few things are always in my mind that I can do to improve, like I'm starting the next batch August. That came to my mind that no, all of us learn by our own system. So I thought, okay, earlier I thought October will be a great idea because everybody will be free from everything else. But I realized that March is not a great idea to finish. And you can't count for mishaps that can happen here and there. So then August, if we begin, we can finish sooner. So that is one. But generally speaking, anything that you would like to suggest, just let me know in whichever field. Your IES classes begin after a break of 4 days. And they will begin with linear programming classes. Ravidat sir teaches you linear programming. So they will begin with linear programming classes with you. Probability, And then I will take over, of course, after that, teaching you econometrics, teaching you basic statistics, teaching you micromathematics, input-output matrix. All these things I will take up and teach you. And there will be few sessions on environment, past year question and answers. I've already solved those questions and answers, of course. You know, but I've asked Sandeep sir, he will carry you through the discussions on those question and answers on environment. IES की बात कर रहा हूँ, economic services. So that was all the last 4-5 years question answers on environment, etc. You will be paper 3 mainly environment, public finance. You will be able to have a grip on that. So that will allow you to, because they repeat a lot in IES exam. So especially environment kind of topics. So you will have a grip. You will be able to understand things. So just do it like that. Now, Sandeep sir will be sharing with you one of my YouTube videos on labor market reforms. He has already shared. Promotion leke hi manega. So he shares it with you, you know, the point. Now, see through that, because since the labor market reforms have not been implemented, the entire discussion remains the same. Nothing changes. So I thought that we can save 1 hour. और क्लास में क्या होता है, मैं 40 मिनट्स में तुम्हें नोट्स के साथ पढ़ाता हूँ. वो चूंकि एक यूट्यूब डिस्कशन था तो ज़्यादा इलेबोरेट है. उस डिस्कशन में बस एक करेक्शन कर लेना जो सरकार ने अब कर लिया है. When I'm suggesting reforms for labor market thing, now we have a portal for the unorganized sector workers. Like in that lecture, I am saying that we still don't have a portal for it. Now, of course, that portal exists. You know, eShram portal. eShram portal was not there when I had created that lecture. Other than that, everything else remains same. There is not a single thing that has changed in Indian economy in the last 2 years with respect to labor market. Nothing. You listen to me there and you will realize, okay, this is what the old man kept talking in the classroom also. You know, so that is how it has been. So do it across that. Now there are few things I have to teach you. Last class, if you recall, we stopped after doing PDS and all. Yeah, one more thing. The notes that I have given you are not to be sold to the scrap dealer. All right. Those notes are given so that you go through them. They have details in them which you can use to write more in your answer sheet. All right. हाँ, कुछ topics में अगर तुम्हें confusion लगे मन में, like infrastructure or say topics on human development, then wait on that. I will be covering these topics through the test series with you. So in that case, you will be able to get better how to utilize. But otherwise, go through the notes. Please do. On India before 47, I have given you everything in the notes. Please do make sure you have gone through that, because there is nothing I can explain in it to you. What I can only do is I can give you the factuals. Do the factuals. Otherwise, whatever needed, I will be definitely covering it up with you. All right? So we take ourselves further then. There are 2 small discussions, 3 rather, that we have to finish. Let me finish those, and that will, at least for the time being, set us free. So discussion 1, continuing with what other steps have been taken for the purpose of poverty alleviation in India. So 2 steps you had written, Manrega and PDS. Now there are few small things that have been done. I just wanted you to take them down. 3rd step you write on poverty alleviation. It is called PM Swanidhi. Yeah. Thank you, Aman. No, you will have a session with me tomorrow. So even online we will remain connected, and if somebody online is in Delhi, you are most welcome to join us tomorrow. मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ भाई. All right. Let's see. So when we talk about PM Swanidhi, this is Street Vendors Nidhi Program. PM Swanidhi is Street Vendors Nidhi Program. That is PM Swanidhi. Street Vendors Nidhi Program. You write below that, The program was announced. The program was announced under Atmanirbhar Bharat, under Atmanirbhar Bharat announcements in 2020-21. In 2020-21. In the same thing you write, under the scheme, government will provide loans of rupees 10,000 to street vendors for not only meeting their working capital needs, but also for training them in becoming relatively better off with respect to return on their investment, full stop. Government provisioned rupees 50,000 crore to provide funding to more than 5 lakh vendors. Change the paragraph. All vendors registered with municipal corporation city development authorities and even resident welfare associations are eligible to participate in this scheme. More than 3 crore, 3 lakh. More than 3 lakh 80,000 vendors have already benefited through this scheme. All right. Then you write fourth. If this can be called 3, believing Manrega was 1 and PDS to be second. All right. So you write fourth, financial inclusion schemes for poors. Financial inclusion scheme for poors. All right, let's see this. So when we say financial inclusion schemes, 3 types of schemes, and I'll make you write it. First, the schemes related to bank accounts, mainly Jan Dhan Yojana. Second, schemes related to credit provision, Mudra, Kisan Credit Card, and so on. And third, schemes related to insurance. All right, like Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, or Fasal Bima Yojana, or Jan Arogya Yojana. All right. Again, we will not go into details of schemes here because I will be teaching you the details of schemes with economic survey anyways. It's given in economic survey chapter 5, 4 and 5. So I will be doing the details of scheme there, 4 and 6 rather. But right now what I'll do is I'll give you how these schemes create financial inclusion and therefore uplifting the poor. Remember one more thing, in case you are writing an answer on inclusive growth, these points can come handy over there also. जो बातें आप लिख रहे हो for right now for poverty alleviation, any answer on inclusive growth, these points can come back. All right. So let's see this. You write financial inclusion can be done through banking inclusion, that is making bank account accessible for all, full stop. Government initiated Jan Dhan Yojana in 2014, targeting bank account for each household. In the same thing you write, now it has been extended. Now it has been extended to create bank account for each adult. Create bank account for each adult. Like earlier, the target was each household should have a bank account, like at least one member in each household. Now that was achieved by 2019. Then the government said, let's go ahead and have a bank account for each adult. There is a question that one of your friend asks online, which I'm answering, and that can come to your mind too, that did we have a scheme for street vendors before Swanidhi? See, we had schemes like Shehri Rozgar Yojana. We had schemes like Swan Jayanti Shehri Rozgar Yojana. We had schemes like Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. These schemes have been there since 89, 97, 2005. The only thing was they did not specifically target street vendors, but they were targeting all the poors in the city that existed. That included the street vendors. So if by chance somebody asks you, is this the first program targeting street vendors in particular? The answer is yes. But if somebody says that this is the first program under which street vendors have been covered, the answer is no, they were covered in the previous programs also. Also remember, similarly, Jan Dhan Yojana is a program where we again targeted covering people under bank account for all. It was not that we did not have a scheme for bank account for all, but the problem that came in was, or the problem that comes in is, we create bank account for people, and then we don't train them to continue with that bank account. That is the important thing. But in Jan Dhan Yojana, there is one big difference which is happening. Post Jan Dhan Yojana, government also included direct benefit transfers, created a Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, JAM Trinity as they would call it, and another benefit that they did was they created banking correspondents, bank mitras as they were called, so that people could be trained into how to use their bank account. So Jan Dhan Yojana in that sense has remained more sustainable compared to the previous efforts done by the government to include more people in banking. I hope I reach you on this. In Jan Dhan Yojana, there have been other benefits also, apart from the direct benefit transfers. People have the benefit of taking overdraft. That is, if you have maintained up to 5,000 rupees in your account for 6 months, then you can withdraw 5,000 beyond what you have in your account. I reach you on that? That's an overdraft that has been allowed. And Jan Dhan Yojana also allows that people can take life insurance by having a Jan Dhan account at a subsidized rate. So all that has made Jan Dhan comparatively more popular to the extent that now 47.8 crore accounts have been opened. My source of data is the answer given by Finance Minister last year in the Parliament. So 47.8 crore accounts have been opened through Jan Dhan Yojana. Do I believe we are okay on that? I'm just making you write few things out of these. You please write that. Under Jan Dhan Yojana, Aadhaar linked bank account has been created. Aadhaar linked bank account has been created for all the people who are deprived on even one condition, on even one condition under socio-economic caste census. Even one condition on socio-economic caste census, SECC as we call it, all right, socio-economic caste census. अगर किसी एक चीज पे भी deprived है, तो I mean, though I hope you have heard of SECC. If not, I'll tell you there are 7 criteria on which deprivation is judged: D1, D2, D3 till D7. And this was said by the government that even on one criteria, if you are deprived, we'll give you the benefit of Jan Dhan account. All right. In case you have not read much on SECC, don't worry, because SECC at the moment is on the background, in the background, because we have not had the new SECC. The last one we had and the only one we had was in 2011. There also the government did not make the caste census public. They made the other deprivation part public, but they did not make the caste census public. All right, they did this census. They called it socio-economic caste census. They made the socio-economic part public, but they did not make the caste part public. All right, so we'll have to wait and watch. Our current government is quite against a caste census, so I mean the party in power. So I don't see that coming up near time in future. But this is one aspect to keep in mind. That is one. Second thing that you need to keep in mind is that deprivation in India has multiple methods to measure. Below poverty line, SECC, deprived on the basis of land availability, deprived on the basis of accessibility to bank account. So in that sense, any of the deprivation can qualify you for the benefits here. You write in that all account holders will have accessibility, all account holders will have accessibility to life insurance facility, and an overdraft facility up to rupees 5,000 if certain conditions in the account are met. Now remember, when we say certain conditions, the major condition is you should have maintained at least 5,000 for 6 months in your account. All right? Yes. No. It comes as you opt for it. It's a subsidized rate. Then you change the paragraph and write, financial inclusion also includes credit inclusion which has been offered through Kisan Credit Card, priority sector lending, interest subvention scheme, and Mudra Yojana, Now again, I'm giving you small details on Mudra Yojana, just keep it in mind. You write under Mudra Yojana, in a bracket you write micro unit development, micro unit development and refinancing activity. Micro unit development and refinancing activity. That is why Mudra, all right, that is the full form. Government provisions loan, government provisions loan. Now remember one more thing in that, the loan is not directly provisioned by the government. What the government does is, it connects the people who need loan to people who are willing to give this loan. So this scheme is implemented through agencies like SIDBI, NABARD. You understand that? These are the refinancing agencies. Small Industrial Development Bank of India, Export-Import Bank of India, and National Agricultural Bank, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So all these things, these institutions are used, and then loans are provisioned to people who need it. All right. Now, you write provisions loans of up to rupees 50,000 in a bracket you write Shishu. Loan ka naam hai. SHISHU. Nanna munna bachcha. All right, Shishu. Comma. Between 50,000 and 5 lakh. Between 50,000 and 5 lakh. Again in a bracket you write Kishore. अभी नन्ना मुन्ना बच्चा थोड़ा बड़ा हो गया. 50,000 to 5 lakh Kishore, and 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs Tarun. बूढ़ा नहीं हुआ अभी. Tarun, TARUN, such that the interest rate charged is lesser than market rate, and entrepreneurship can be promoted for lower income group in the economy. And then you change the paragraph and write, it also includes insurance inclusion, with schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, for life insurance, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana for life insurance, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana for health insurance, and I will be teaching you some details and coverage of these insurance programs as I'm teaching you economic survey. So that is why I am not at the moment going into the details of these. And then Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. For accident insurance. Apart from that, there is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana for crops. So Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Jan Arogya Yojana, Suraksha Bima Yojana, and Fasal Bima Yojana. All right, these are the schemes for insurance inclusion. Again, remember, insurance inclusion assures that people can afford to take small risks for their growth. By chance, if somebody asks you, all right, but what's the economic benefit of an insurance apart from giving you money? The economic benefit is the behavioral change. The farmers can look for crop diversification, or individuals can look for doing work in areas which might be accident prone slightly. Otherwise, I'm smiling because the person who drives my car comes to my mind. He one day said that, people in my family say that I do a very dangerous job. Said, how do you do a dangerous job? He said, I drive car. I said, no, how dangerous it is depends on you. Because car cannot on its own take a jump. So as long as you don't make it take one. But remember, that is the normal thing by which people who are less literate or people who are less informed take things that, oh, this is a dangerous job, I will be in trouble if something happens, and so on. Similarly, when it comes to health insurance, in fact, this year's economic survey has also given us a very good insight on that. That when government said 5 lakh rupees health insurance for everyone, for the whole family, many people had said this will result in siphoning out money and this will result in wastage of resource. But quite interestingly, the average expenditure we see coming from the side of the poor is 12 to 13,000 rupees per annum. Forget 5 lakh rupees per annum. And majorly the expenditures are not on treatment of small disease like flu and so on. They are on treatment of some typical things like, say, dialysis. That is where a lot of people are taking help of these schemes. And that is what starts changing things, that when you change these structures, when you give people these accessibility, health insurance, life insurance, accidental insurance, and so on, you allow them to have ease of living. I'm deliberately using the word. The Prime Minister uses this word very often. All right. So whenever you are writing an answer, I'll make you write one more thing on ease of living, but use these terms in your answer. Ease of living. Another thing, doing ease of living. So financial inclusion does that. Ease of living. It improves. Another thing that improves ease of living, that can be your next point now. You write, civic amenities development. Civic amenities development through different government programs. Civic amenities development through different government programs. Put a dash and write, this is done through schemes like, Jal Jeevan Mission, Jal Jeevan Mission, if you recall in our class on economic survey, we were discussing this thing on Jal Jeevan Mission, or you bear with me, sometimes I am discussing things in my sleep also. So I mix it up. But I think I've discussed it with you, the tab that they have created, the real-time numbers that they give you about Jal Jeevan Mission, that before Jal Jeevan Mission started, there were 11 crore families which were without a tap connection, and they have been able to connect, rather 16 crore families without a tap connection, and they have been able to connect 8 crore out of that in the last 3 years. Now, that is something that starts giving government, that is called Nal Se Jal, water from every tap. All right. Jal Jeevan Mission had a budget of 60,000 crore last year, out of which the government could spend 54,000 crore, and they have given it a budget of 70,000 crore this year. So it is one of the big flagship schemes of the government, where a lot of money is being spent and targets are getting achieved. In fact, there is a nice Jal Jeevan dashboard. आप normal कुछ मत करना, एक Google search कर लेना, Jal Jeevan Mission. You will get a real-time dashboard on it as to how many taps have been laid, what is the process going down, and they'll show you an India map, and they will color it blue, dark blue, and orange, and so on, depending on how many taps are now there coverage across each state. Now that real-time data sharing is the first example that people are serious about doing a work. When you show transparency, that can happen only when you are confident I'm doing the work. So that transparency has been shown, at least on the Jal Jeevan board dashboard, the network dashboard, and that's quite interesting to see. तुम कभी उसको check करके देखना internet पे, you would actually enjoy it because the way it shows numbers changing real time and the colors that it shows along. So that was quite an interesting thing to see. And I will be talking to you on Jal Jeevan again in Economic Survey Chapter 6. So I'm at the moment keeping a little quiet on that. But these are schemes that are game changers. The point is that, the number of people who are now reporting that, see, it's looking at it. Some people say, look, Ujjwala Yojana, people are again not refilling their cylinders. Well, they are not, but they are getting used to it gradually. So another one generation and they start refilling. The point is that, you will find it very rare that somebody is 6th pass and their children is 5th or 4th pass. Somebody is 10th pass and their children are 8th pass. You would not see that happening. What I'm trying to guide you on is that development is very incremental in nature. There can be ages in a country where development can be discontinuous. That okay, suddenly a whole generation gets educated big time. For example, when India established IITs, IIMs, that was an epochal thing. That a whole generation was getting accessibility to post-graduation, high-level education, graduation, high-level education, in a very short span of time. Understandable. But other than that, the incremental growth is what one looks for. And if that incremental growth happens then over a period of time, and by a period of time I don't mean 40 years, I mean within 15, 20 years, 10 years, you start seeing the things change. That is the aspect. That suddenly someone, like I must have told you this because I feel very good about it, that someone who would work as a house helper at our home, earlier, all her 3 children are doing pretty well for themselves today. They are all well settled. One works at a call center in Bangalore, earning a decent money for herself. She's a floor manager in charge now. She has another daughter who is a teacher in Patna, in one of good schools of Patna. She has completed her B.Ed and M.Ed. And a son who is working as an assistant commandant in CAPF. And what did the mother do? The mother was a house help, cleaning people's clothes, washing house, and so on. So that's the incremental change that I'm telling you. That within one generation you see suddenly that some people should start showing that change. So this is, and there are so many such stories in India now, compared to what we had, say, 25, 30 years back. Aspirational India, as we call it. But okay, I did not do much, but my children will do better. Remember one thing, ये मैंने वैसे सोचा था inequality में बोलूँगा, but अभी बोल रहा हूँ तो आपको बता देता हूँ. Inequality के बारे में मेरी एक बात याद रखना हमेशा. Inequality is political and inequality is philosophical. Political inequality is some people will control the reins of the country, and philosophical inequality is some people will justify the inequality that is there. Try understanding that. And the elite in the society will always try justifying the inequality that is there. That is philosophical inequality. Suppose if I am the elite in the society, somebody is moving without clothes, I got to justify that the guilt cannot be mine. So then we create various things. In capitalist societies, they say it's because of inherent capacity of humans, what to do. Some people are more talented, some people are less talented, and hence unequal. In economies like ours, feudalist, we are even more direct. God has not created people equal. Blame it on God. भगवान ने सबको अलग अलग घर जन्म दिया, 5 उंगलियां बराबर नहीं होती, लोग कैसे बराबर हो जाएंगे. We give all those dialogues, but we justify inequality in that, on that account. That's philosophical idea of inequality, which one has to be very careful about, because when a society starts justifying inequality philosophically, then that inequality gets perpetuated. Because now people are all not even feeling bad about it. They're feeling it's somebody else's fault that people are poor. Maybe the poor person's fault that she is poor. So please be careful that sense of inequality if we can remove. So any challenge to inequality has to be political, property-wise, and philosophical. The 3 P's of inequality that I always say. That one is political discussion in the country, property rights in the country, and the philosophical idea of the country. So as long as we don't target all the 3, inequality, and as it reflects, then poverty will be very normal to exist. So keep that in mind. Now, that is why I said that if we develop civic amenities, you are challenging the philosophical idea of inequality then. When you develop civic amenities, you are challenging the philosophical idea of inequality, because you are saying that everybody will have accessibility to a toilet, everybody will have accessibility to a school, everybody will have accessibility to sanitation, people will not be doing manual scavenging. This is about removing the philosophy of inequality. अंडरस्टैंड दैट. एक आसान तरीके से तुम्हें समझाता हूँ. हिंदी इसलिए बोलना पड़ रहा है क्योंकि ये हिंदी में ज़्यादा इस तरह की बात सुनते हैं हम लोग हमारे अराउंड. जब लोग कहते हैं इन लोगों को कैसे पढ़ाएं पता नहीं, ये लोग पढ़ने में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, ये लोग अपनी तरक्की खुद ही नहीं चाहते, दैट इज दैट अस एंड देम सिंड्रोम where we say that they are not interested, which is philosophizing inequality. Then I'm okay with inequality because these guys are responsible, they don't want. I mean, I have a very separate but interesting question for you. When it comes to education, as a kid or even as an adolescent, who wants? Ask even a rich kid, would you like to go to school? Nah, give me some other option. I still remember my elder son was in KG or class 1 something, and I was writing a check for his fee. And he said that, what is this? I said, I'm writing a check to give your fee. Because I had stopped the car, I had forgotten writing the check. So car was stopped and I was writing it. And this fellow was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. And he said, what will this check do? I said, without this check, they won't allow you in the school. And now he was hell-bent. He was not making me write it. मेरा हाथ पकड़ के बैठ गया. ये मत लिख यार, क्या कर रहा है? चल बाहर चलते हैं, वापस चलते हैं, नहीं देंगे अगर तो. So he was quite convinced that fair enough, if this check gets me into the school, I won't let you write it. There is no point. So this is what even rich kids do. So why blame the poor kids that they don't want to come to school? Nobody does. It's just that the rich kid have people at home who force them to go to school. I don't want to go to school. Please go. We'll give you a chocolate. I don't want to go to school. Please go. We'll show you a cartoon movie. I don't want to go to school. Go. Then we all walk through, reach school. So there is somebody who is at home doing this. So remember that, that's very important. It's very easy to decry that others are not interested. Well, none of us are. We are just lucky that we got people who helped us out. That is the key I wanted you to understand. So philosophizing inequality, poverty is what countries often do to justify it. Capitalist countries, they often use merit as the word. Oh, those people who have merit can always grow. Americans are very often, Germans, Americans, British, they very often say this. They blame inequality on somebody else's lack of merit. But that's not true. My merit will work if I have enough opportunities to use that merit. So always be careful on these accounts. It will help you write good conclusions at times. The 3 P's you can use as either introduction or conclusion to your answer on inequality or poverty. The eradication programs. Yes, yes. Yes. No, so lower level equilibrium is again due to lack of information that people would have. That they are saying that I'm happy with this life because I can't aspire to have a better life, no? It's like Zimbabwe saying I don't want to beat India in cricket से. मैं भारत को हराना ही नहीं चाहता हूँ. वो हरा सकते ही नहीं, उनको पता है बेचारे को, तो बोलते हराना ही नहीं चाहता हूँ. Understand that. Sometimes we give up, and we give up with dignity, if I can use the word. We said, I don't want it. It's not that you don't want it. It's not that it's somewhere you know that I can't get it. So then you say, I don't want it. All right. You then, in the same thing, please write. I'm just making you write one line in that. Under Jal Jeevan Mission, Government targets to provision tap water supply to each household along with promotion of sustainable development through water conservation techniques. All right. You write, change the paragraph and write, other schemes like Swachh Bharat Yojana, comma, PM Awas Yojana, comma, and this PM Awas Yojana is both rural and urban. All right, there is a PM Awas Yojana rural and there is a PM Awas Yojana urban. PM Awas Yojana, comma, Amrit, AMRUT, Atal Mission for Rural Urban Transformation. All right, Amrit, comma, Smart City Scheme, etc. to promote development of sanitation, comma, housing, comma, modern amenities, and sustainable urbanization, which improves ease of living, and uplifts overall standard of living. All right, then you write one more, next point, for poverty alleviation, what they have done. You write, there have been schemes for social security support. Like Atal Pension Yojana, ATAL. It's in the name of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. So Atal Pension Yojana. In this, the government says you contribute 3,000 per annum. At the end of 30 years, the government will give 3,000 per month. All right, that is the idea for each households in the poor background. So Atal Pension Yojana, comma, E-Shram portal, E-Shram portal, SHRAM, Shram portal. I'll teach you that, don't worry. It's all in the economic survey, hence I'm not going into details. I'll teach you those. E-Shram portal for registration of unorganized sector workers, comma, Public Provident Fund, in post offices. I hope you have heard of them. These are schemes where you can keep depositing at least 500 rupees per annum for 20 years, and once 20 years get over, you can withdraw this money full sum, or you can start taking interest on this money. So the purpose is that those who cannot take pension directly from the government can create this as a pension scheme with the post office. All right, that is Public Provident Fund, the idea. So Public Provident Fund with post offices, PM Kisan, etc., to assure that basic requirements of life can be met. Basic requirement of life can be met. And then one more you write. Again, I'm just making you write the heading here because I will be teaching you this in some detail as we go ahead in economic survey. This is infrastructure development for inclusive growth. Infrastructure development for inclusive growth. And you know, when we say infrastructure development for inclusive growth, typical infrastructure schemes have been there for inclusive growth. For example, if you take electricity. So for electricity, there are schemes like Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. This is for rural electrification. Rural electrification. Or Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. It's called Saubhagya, you know. This is Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. This is for electrification for all. This is for electrification for all. That is Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. That accessibility of electricity for all. That is what has been tried. In fact, 2.82 crore households are now included with electrification. This number will change a little bit. Oh. Sorry. The Power Ministry is about to give a reply to a question put in the Parliament. I think that reply will come in this session, budget session. There's already a question put in the Parliament where they have asked about what has been the progress here. So this number was till October, October 2022. This number must have improved by now. So I will update you. One of the projected, like this was not a government figure, But one of the numbers I was seeing on one of the research papers had already crossed 3 crore. It was saying that it's around 3 crore, 4 lakh now. The total targeted family households are 3.5 crore. That up to 3.5 crore people will be electrified under it. That is what is being happening. So this is another one. So this is for electricity. And similarly for road, there are things like Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Or Bharatmala has, in Bharatmala scheme, there is a scheme connecting backward regions to district headquarters. In Bharatmala, connecting backward regions to district headquarters. सबके लिए, पूरे भारत के लिए। नहीं, देखो, अच्छा समझना ये बात, दीनदयाल उपाध्याय ग्राम ज्योति योजना है कि एरिया को इलेक्ट्रीफाई करना है। अब एरिया के इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन में इंडिया में एक रूल है, द रूल इज दैट इफ 10% ऑफ द पीपल इन दैट एरिया आर इलेक्ट्रीफाइड एंड ऑल द in public institutions are electrified, then that area is considered to be electrified. यहां पे बात हो रही है लोगों को इलेक्ट्रीफाई करना है, 10% ही नहीं, सभी लोगों को इलेक्ट्रीफाई करना है, ठीक है? All right, then there is another one there is BharatNet program for things like communication. All right, that communication development through schemes like BharatNet. ये जानबूझ के तुम्हें ऐसे सिखाता हूं मैं, in case sometimes they ask you a 10-mark question for 150 words, where they ask you to write about what all are the physical development programs of the government or infrastructure development programs of the government for inequality removal or poverty alleviation. Include the infrastructure part and include the civic amenities part. Both. Infrastructure you should include and civic amenities you should include whenever it is programmed for poverty alleviation, physical development. Then what are the physical development programs run by the government? So include infrastructure, include civic amenities, gives you a good 150 word for your answer. All right, this is on all the schemes and programs that you can talk about. I'll tell you why this question gets important. In the newspapers, you will often hear two things, criticisms of the current government. One, they say these guys are focused on infrastructure development and physical development, and they are not working for inclusive growth. But what we need to understand is infrastructure development and civic community development is itself a method to create inclusive growth. You cannot have inclusion unless you don't do this. Another thing that you often hear is, even in this year's budget, there was a criticism that was there. The criticism was that social sector expenditure has been ignored. All right? And this has been said by many people all across, that social sector expenditure has been ignored. Government has not done a lot of social sector expenditure. But important thing again in that is health, education. These are state subjects. So state has to make a major part of the expenditure here. Whenever we talk about how much expenditure is done for education, you can't only count how much has been done by the central government. You have to count how much has been done by the central government plus how much has been done by the state government. Understand that? Similarly for healthcare, how much has been done by central government, how much has been done by state government. Because few subjects are state subjects, so you don't expect central government to do all those expenditures per se for the people. Same thing applies on agricultural development. That what is the expenditure done by state government and what are the steps taken by state government for agricultural development. What happens is, and you can blame it on the leader concerned also sometimes. अगर मैं बोलूँगा मैं ही सर्वे सर्वा हूँ, मैं सब कुछ करा रहा हूँ, तो लोग जब गलती भी निकालने लगेंगे तो मेरा नाम भी ले लेंगे जिसमें मेरी गलती ना भी हो। तो ये तो बहुत नॉर्मली होता है, इंदिरा गांधी जी के साथ होता था, मोदी जी के साथ होता है, ये नॉर्मल है, दैट आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट the side on the other side will try taking credit for everything that's happening, and those who are in the opposition will try blaming for everything that is happening. But then the debate goes murky. What I need you to keep in mind is what is important is that there are certain areas where the state governments will have to take the lead. So whenever you are asked this question that don't you think that healthcare expenditure should rise to 2.5% of GDP, of course I think that healthcare expenditure should rise to 2.5% of GDP, but who will make the primary healthcare center running in the rural areas? Understand that. And who will make the secondary healthcare centers working in the townships? Who will make the community healthcare centers working in the townships? So it's not that the central government can send its employees everywhere to do that. So state governments will have to take the lead. The lower bureaucracy will have to take the lead. And unless you don't have the structure, you increase the budget and a leaking bucket will leak more. हम सब अपने गांव जब जाते हैं, आप भी जाते होंगे अपने गांव, you would be going to your village, I'll go to my village. Why do we carry a medicine box? Ideally we should not. There is a primary healthcare center with a trained nursing staff over there on paper. No. Again, don't confuse your small township with a village, and don't confuse your village on a national highway with a village. सर मैं तो अपने गांव नहीं जाता, नेशनल हाईवे ऐसे बाइक पे बैठता हूँ, 20 मिनट में दवाई की दुकान पे पहुंच जाता हूँ, पास में ही हॉस्पिटल भी है, फिर तो नहीं लेके जाओगे। मैं गांव की बात कर रहा हूं जो भारत में बहुत सारे इंटीरियर में भी हैं, where the city which is nearest is 10 kilometers away. And by city I mean a township, not a city per se. You know, my village is one such, so I know very well. 12 kilometers is what it takes to reach the nearest township, you know, and 17 kilometers to reach the proper city. So in that case you got to cover yourself and search for the primary healthcare center that is supposed to be there in the village. And even by chance, if you find the primary healthcare center, try finding medicine in it. If you can find the worker there, more often than not it is logged. And by chance you find somebody there, the person will heal you by talking. So that is the mechanism by which things go. You know, तुम आ ही गए हो, चलो बातचीत करके ठीक हो गया, जाओ, कुछ ज्यादा खास हम कर तो नहीं सकते. That's corruption. Then the money is not reaching the people. And that is why increasing money in a leaking bucket, I repeat again, doesn't help people much. So we got to be careful that if we can overcome this corruption, and state governments, wherever they have been conscious, Kerala, the state government has been conscious, Kerala does much better there. Himachal Pradesh, the state government has been conscious, they do much better there. Tamil Nadu, the state government has been conscious, they do much better there. So wherever state government gets conscious, the result has been much better compared to other states where the state governments have not been that conscious. तुम कोई भी चीज देखोगे, अभी मैं वेट कर रहा हूं, नया रिपोर्ट आ जाएगा इस साल, मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स मेजर इन इंडिया. You can sleepwalk through predicting the top 3 and the bottom 3. Kerala, Puducherry, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, top 3. Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar. It's like those kids in the school where you would always know if one has been called, the other's parents must be coming. I actually remember I was there in my school और किसी के पेरेंट्स को बुलाया गया था, तो वो निकल रहे थे और तब तक जो दूसरे थे उनके पेरेंट्स आ रहे थे, तो और बच्चे के साथ अपने, तो जो पहले निकल रहे थे उन्होंने उस बच्चे को देखते ही बोला, तभी मैं कहूँ तुम कैसे नहीं हो अभी तक. So you know, even parents would know that this fellow has to come in now. So that is what I'm trying to tell you, that when it comes to this method, तो वही जैसे ही पता चलता है least ranked state in multidimensional poverty index, Bihar, then immediately, you know, people from Bihar start looking, कहीं ना कहीं तो हमारे भाई बंधु हो गए यहाँ आसपास. उत्तर प्रदेश, झारखंड, ये कहाँ जाएंगे, होंगे ही कहीं, फिर मिल भी जाते हैं, जस्ट अबव झारखंड, देन जस्ट अबव उत्तर प्रदेश, ओके नाउ रिजॉल्व्ड, ऑल ऑफ अस आर टुगेदर अगेन इन इट, you know. But this is about state governments not taking action to resolve things. It's nothing else. There were states which were doing badly, like Madhya Pradesh. There were states which were doing badly, like Orissa. There were states which were doing badly, like Andhra Pradesh. These states have been able to uplift their position in social indicators. इंडिया में के एन राज सर ने कॉइन किया था एक टर्म, बीमारू स्टेट, आपने सुना ही होगा ये, और बाद में के एन राज सर के बाद later on टी एन श्रीनिवासन सर said no, it is actually a call. He was joking of course. उन्होंने कहा बीमारू is a call, it's बीमारू O. So बिहार, मध्य प्रदेश, राजस्थान, उत्तर प्रदेश and Orissa. So he said it's बीमारू O. You know, it's a call, that बीमारू's call and then O comes up. Now if you if you look at the recent system, Orissa is not a बीमारू anymore, it's not behind the curve anymore. Rajasthan is doing pretty decent for itself, it's not behind the curve anymore. Madhya Pradesh is not doing well. Bihar has a friend, Jharkhand. And then Uttar Pradesh. So these three states, again I repeat, it's the governance which needs to improve. If the governance improves, the state can do better. And of course, governance becomes a complex issue and non-economic issue, so I won't go that side, especially today. But remember, governance improves when you decentralize. Governance improves when you educate. Governance improves when you make sure that basic rights are understood and implemented by all. All that is governance improvement. You know, that is what is governance improvement when you do that. Now let's see this, because remember, कोई मुझे एक दिन बोल रहे थे, और अगर आप फैन हो तो बेयर करना, मैं मान सकता हूं कि आपको अच्छे लग सकते हैं, बट जैसे किसी ने मुझे कहा तेजस्वी यादव जी will be a great leader. It doesn't matter how much he is educated. Fair enough. But he is less educated, not because he was working for freedom fighting on the ground. He is less educated because he happened to be an inefficient son of a chief minister of a state. क्योंकि कुछ ताकत चाहिए कि मेरे पेरेंट्स चीफ मिनिस्टर हों और मैं फिर भी ना पढ़ूं. I mean, it needs some capacity. Because if my parents are chief minister, then normal education will come to me because there will be a line of tutors willing to tutor me. But he couldn't even manage that. That reflects on, see, what do you reflect as a student when you are here? Not next IAS, I mean, preparing for civils or having done your graduation. Some of you are doing post-graduation at some wonderful places. What does that reflect upon you? I'll tell you, it reflects basic sincerity of personality. Those who don't have, don't reach here. They split out. Everybody is gifted with money, or many people are gifted with money. Not everybody educates themselves. So if you are educating yourself, doing well, if you have a sleepless night because you have a test next day, it shows a responsible personality. You know, कितने भी अच्छे हो आप पढ़ने में, और मैं भी ठीक था पढ़ने में अपने वक्त पे, तो अभी डर तो लगता ही है एग्जाम से कि कल क्या होगा, आप देखते हैं. Apprehension, butterflies in stomach are normal. डर बस एक ही को नहीं लग सकता. तो बिल्कुल चैंपियन मोड में, अरे डरना क्या, वैसे भी नहीं जानता था, ऐसे भी नहीं जानता हूं. So that is where you don't get fear, but normal mind getting nervous or a little jittery is normal. So that's what I'm telling you, that when it comes to this, the tests and the schooling and the college that you did is not something that is your achievement, but it does reflect the sincerity. That is the only thing that I was telling you. So that is what we need to take care of, that when you look at states also, the states, if they are doing on the bottom, need to do better for themselves, and good governance is the key, again I repeat. Think Bihar could grow 11% per annum, 11% mind you, per annum, between 2005 and 2015. That changed many things in Bihar. The roads became very good, or electrification became much decent. Now the next step that Bihar or any such state, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, has to take is focus on education and healthcare. Because that is human resource development. Unless you don't develop your humans, how do you develop? You look at Bihar, look at Eastern Uttar Pradesh, even Rajasthan, even today, or for that matter, Jharkhand, you will have the extremes. Some people very well off and very well educated, doing very well in the educational institutions that they are in, at top-notch places in government, and many others left behind, not doing well for themselves. This is a very often asked interview question from economics optional student. अगर आप बाई चांस बिहार, उत्तर प्रदेश या राजस्थान, मध्य प्रदेश इस जगह से निकलते हो, स्पेशली बिहार, उत्तर प्रदेश और झारखंड के बच्चों से तो बहुत पूछते हैं कि भाई क्या बात है कि इतने सारे ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं वहाँ से और इतने सारे लोग पढ़े लिखे हैं वहाँ, फिर भी स्टेट क्यों अच्छा नहीं कर रहा? It's a very often asked question from the people. And I'll give you the answer, you reach that stage first. No, just joking. But that answer is more complex, so I will give you that answer, but let the complexity arise. Because that answer is not a simple yes, no, no sir, people are underdeveloped and all. It's a complex thing. There are many reasons why these states have not been able to do well. But important is that we need to have an answer, and when we have a question, have the diagnosis correct, then we get the solution correct. The point is just that. Since I've spent a lot of my life in Bihar, I still do sometimes, schooling is till 12th standard level, you will hardly see people migrating out, the students. And it all begins with graduation. So we should know where does the problem lie. That why are children going out of there? And I'll tell you why that does. Because those who cannot migrate are then unable to find, and if they are good quality-wise, are unable to find an outlet for themselves. एक अच्छे माइंड को एक अच्छा आउटलेट चाहिए, ये समझना बहुत जरूरी होता है. अच्छे एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस आपको मेंटल आउटलेट देते हैं टू ग्रो. बीइंग टॉट, इफ यू आर गुड इन योर फील्ड एज अ स्टूडेंट, you will look forward to have a teacher who is equally good in the field which you are studying. An average teacher will bore you. मुझे मत देखो, मैं मेहनत करके आता हूँ. Yes sir, we can see that. I cannot help it, but please keep it in mind. But good brains, if they don't get good teachers, if they don't get good peers around them, then the good brains start losing their sheen. And that's a social good lost. ये पब्लिक गुड है, किसी का अच्छा दिमाग होना हमारी सोसाइटी में, क्योंकि वो बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं फिर सोसाइटी के लिए, और उनको आउटलेट चाहिए. मैं फिर रिपीट करूंगा, they need that outlet, that whole new vision of things, seeing things. So please keep that in mind, that is important. Once you have kept this in mind, you will be able to visualize how education, healthcare, etc. are very important for state level development. Most of the states you will see not doing well GDP wise or income wise or technology wise are also states where human development has taken a beating. That is the idea. All right, now that is on poverty that I had to tell you. इसके बाद बाइफरकेशन तो एक पॉलिटिकल बात थी, लेकिन डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन के लिए तो 73rd 74th अमेंडमेंट को अप्लाई करना होगा उसके पूरे स्पिरिट के साथ. ये थोड़ी होगा कि प्रधान पत्नी चलेंगी और प्रधानपति चलेंगे. समझ रहे हो मेरी बात? इट शुड नॉट, आई मीन, एज लॉन्ग एज वी हैव नॉट डन दैट, इट विल बी ट्रबल. वो करना बहुत जरूरी है. Yes, they are. All right. Now you give a heading. You write inequality. There are two things in inequality I have to discuss with you. Yes, yes. हाँ. हाँ, ठीक है. देखो, अगर कोई तुमसे पैसे मांगने आ रहे हैं तो वो तो एक शॉर्ट रन तो एक्टिविटी यही कर सकते हो कि आप उनको कुछ दे दिए. एक बात कह रहा हूँ, बट दैट डजंट सॉल्व द इशू. सो दैट इज व्हाई हाउ डू वी सॉल्व द इशू. जैसे मान लो ईश्वर करें तुम आईएएस बन गए, तो किए क्या? गेट अ बेसिक सैम्पलिंग डन ऑफ ट्रांसजेंडर इन योर डिस्ट्रिक्ट. check what can be the viable options by which you can educate them and by which you can skill them, and use a carrot and stick policy. The carrot policy is, I will give you skill free of cost, and I will assure you get a proper work after the skill development is completed, and will make sure that the work remains stable and continuous. And stick is, if you don't do that, I won't let you beg in my district. You know what the problem here? The problem is lack of political consensus. As soon as you start doing this, the carrot part will be loved by all, the stick part nobody needs. एक और बात तुम्हें बताता हूँ, चाइल्ड वाले के लिए ममता बनर्जी जी got a very good solution in West Bengal. She said, if parents send their children for work, I mean, if a child is found at work, then the one who is giving work will be penalized, and the one who is, I mean, the parents will be penalized. You will be surprised that at least in the broader region in West Bengal, to a great extent, they have been able to control child labor. The children are in school. क्या करेंगे? वही करते हैं. मैं तुम्हें उसके ऊपर एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात भी बताता हूँ. उस वक्त 25-26 साल की उम्र थी मेरी, तो हम लोग घूम रहे थे, me and my wife in CP. There was a fellow who was sleeping with a naked kid, you know, no t-shirt, just a small half pant, and it was December. So we felt very bad, and we said that, please take this. We bought a t-shirt of the kid's size. We gave it to him and said that isko pehna do. उन्होंने पहना दिया. Then we went ahead. We had to go somewhere. We came back the same route. The fellow had again removed the t-shirt and was again asking for things. तो ये तो हो चुका है, देख चुका हूँ. एक दो बार नहीं, 2-4 बार हो चुका है. काफी चीजें देख चुका हूँ. There was a lady once, some of you might have noticed it, Karol Bagh area, Jhandewalan it happened. She came across, she said, oh, my child will die. And I used to ride a scooter in those days, again long back. Again, I was 25 odd of age. She had just come back from US. So I would ride a scooter and go to my college. And she was there at Jhandewalan. She said, my daughter-in-law will die. Look, she's about to deliver on the road. Give me some money. And in my hurry, whatever money I had, around 1,000 odd rupees, I gave her. My work got over in half an hour. I started coming back. She came to me. She didn't even recognize me. My daughter-in-law will die. Give me some money. Now, I was a younger kid at that time. I got hold of her then after that. I said, give back my money. What is this? I will give you the money later. You give back my money first. फिर मैंने अपने 1,000 रुपए लिए भी थे उनसे. वापस दो. ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. But that apart, I agree with you. And dilemma is also quite natural. I'll tell you what ideally should be the case. Whenever you see, that is what I follow, whenever you see people begging, at least I theorize they should not be given any money. But if you see somebody working hard and getting underpaid, somebody trying to sell knickknacks, somebody trying to put, if you are on a rickshaw, say, somebody doing a small job for you, no harm paying them a little better. You will have no guilt feeling also, believe me. You will know that I'm supporting those who are on right track. Now, of course, it still has its own questions and answers, no doubt about it. But try doing that. मैं ये बात हमेशा बोलता हूँ और आज तुम्हें भी बोलता हूँ. मुझे समझ नहीं आता कि जब लोग हमारे यहाँ काम करते हैं और अगर एब्सेंट हो गए हम उनके पैसे काटते हैं तो गरीब कौन ज्यादा हुआ? हाँ. क्योंकि अगर एब्सेंट हो गए, मान लो जान के भी हो गए 1 मिनट के लिए, कोई बात नहीं है. 4-5 days they are not coming. Everybody needs a break. Why deduct money? Why say they are exploiting me? Well, they are exploiting you because they are already exploited enough by the system. Try putting it in that perspective. जो हमारे एक डिनर का खर्चा हो सकता है, वो कुछ लोगों की मंथली इनकम हो जाती है. और ये शेयर लक है. चूंकि मैं इनइक्वालिटी डिस्कस कर रहा हूं इसलिए तुम्हें बोल रहा हूं, ये शेयर लक है. It's an Arjun and Karna story. So always remember that it's sheer luck. That we were born in families where we could take these things for granted, and people who would not be born in those families cannot take those things for granted. Always keep that in mind. It's sheer luck, accident. Birth is an accident in India. If you are born in a family which is well off, you're doing well for yourself. 2-3 kilometers other way around, in a slum, gone. You are washing clothes and you are washing utensils. Tough chance to grow then. So whenever, suppose if I feel, oh look, I finished my PhD when I was 25, I must have been wonderful. No, I was not. I was lucky. I was lucky to be born in a family where my parents, my grandparents, they were educated. They could spare time for me. My parents won't hit each other. My grandparents won't hit each other. And they won't hit me much. You know? मैं हाँ मच इसलिए क्योंकि मेरी मदर तो दगाती थी तो ये नहीं था कि मेरी पिटाई नहीं हुई है लेकिन कम से कम ये नहीं देखा आप सोच के देखिए हम इन बातों को थैंकलेसनेस में निकाल देते हैं एक डिस्टर्ब्ड फैमिली ही मिल जाती पैसे होते लेकिन इतनी डिस्टर्ब्ड होती कि पेरेंट्स जो है रोज एक दूसरे का मुंडी घुमा रहे हैं हंसना ही भूल जाएंगे लोग दे विल फॉरगेट लाफिंग because they will be disturbed in their childhood. How do you expect this kid to compete with a kid who comes from a normal, well-to-do, healthy enough family? These are challenges. We don't even acknowledge that these challenges we did not have to face. So unless we don't acknowledge that, we will not acknowledge inequality. Inequality is a lot of all that. Somebody imagine living in a hilly region, having to go 2 kilometers to the school on foot, because even riding a bicycle is not possible. That's inequality to begin with. How do you educate the people there well enough? So be careful on that. You know, inequality, that's why I was telling you the 3 Ps. Inequality is not something which we should philosophize and justify. Yes, there should be institutional mechanism to control misuse of an unequal society. Misuse of unequal society is child labor. Misuse of unequal society is prostitution. Misuse of unequal society is exploitation of the workforce in casual labor. These are all misuse of an unequal society. We need to create institutions so that we can stop that from happening. You know, ideally, I'm not saying this is possible very soon, but ideally Mr. Kailash Satyarthi kind of people should be out of job. Then we will realize that the government and the system is functioning well enough for all children of India. Just giving you one example. अगर कैलाश सत्यार्थी जी को अपना बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन चलाना पड़ रहा है मतलब सरकार तो गायब है फिर अगर सरकार होते तो उनको नहीं चलाना पड़ता तो ये ठीक बात है चलो NGOs are a part of civil society and people run them but end of the day you need government. It's government's job to do all this for its people and sometimes I see the government washing its hands off from these things. So governance, again I repeat, institutionalization is the factor. So inequality comes from there, I mean lack of it. All right, I've told you this earlier also. Inverted Kuznets curve is a myth. With growth in income, it is not necessary inequality will go away. It would have gone away forever then in countries like Britain or United States or Brazil. It's not gone. But in other rich states like Japan or Norway or Sweden, it's gone. So that means it's actually the role of the state. You know, markets cannot take care of inequality. I hope this part will remain with you. I said 3 important things in case you missed me. One, I said institutionalization is important for remedy of inequality. Second, I said exploitation due to inequality should be controlled. And third, I said richness is not automatic. You need a role of government to reduce inequality. All right? जब भी मैं कुछ बोलूँ ना उसे 1 2 3 में सुनने की कोशिश किया करो कि अच्छा बुढ़ा बका क्या तो तुम उसे आंसर में यूज कर पाओगे. All right, let's see this then. Okay, I'll tell you the 3 points. One, I said institutionalization is important to control inequality. You know. Second, I said exploitation due to presence of inequality should be controlled and curtailed. And third, I said that role of government is tremendous in controlling inequality. So these are the 3 things to control inequality. And again, I repeat, public consciousness is the key. As long as it doesn't, आप सोच के देखिए, इंडिया क्रिकेट मैच हार जाती है तो नींद डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है लोगों का. लेकिन रोड पे बच्चे बिना कपड़े के घूमते हैं तो नींद डिस्टर्ब नहीं होता. हम कितने यूज टू हैं इससे फिर. ये इनइक्वालिटी या पॉवर्टी की पहली निशानी हो जाती है that people are oblivious of it. So if we are not oblivious of it, we can solve it. Or at least we can make efforts to solve it. You know? All right, you take this up then. You write reasons for rise of inequality in India. Reasons for rise of inequality in India in the recent past. Reasons for rise of inequality in India in the recent past. When I say recent past, I mean the last 10, 15 years. That why we have seen such a surge in inequality in the last couple of decades in India. All right. First point you write, service-led growth, service-led growth has led to concentration of income. Service-led growth has led to concentration of income in urban areas, and mostly among skilled workers, which has led to rise in inequality. Second, you write, lack of success और एक बात और दिमाग में रखना, when I say this, that we need to improve and all, it is not that we are uncompassionate, it is not that we are not having compassion or affection and we don't want people to grow. It is just that we are not trained and helped to have a mechanism as to how we can make them grow. That is the missing link at times. So it's not that you don't want to train a young kid who might be missing school. But the point is, how do we reach out, what do we do, and how that can be institutionalized. So that is the institutionalization role that I was telling you, where the role of government comes in. You know, that individuals might be willing. I mean, I am very lucky that I get to teach all of you, and I get to see how much people in your generation also have great affection for the nation and want the nation to get uplifted. And we are willing to do the sacrifice to let that happen. But again, the mechanism is we need to show you the right method by which that can be done. And that is where role of government and institutionalization is important. All right? All right, you write, lack of success of land reforms and asset redistribution in India has resulted in leaving many people solely dependent on wage income. Which makes them vulnerable during sudden shocks. Next, you write, sudden shocks like, say, a COVID pandemic. Sudden shocks like if the country has a sudden drought, if some place has sudden earthquake, natural calamity that is. These are sudden shocks, and the sudden shocks will mean these people lose job, and now they don't have any asset based on which they can live their life. All right. Third, you write, lack of proper skill development has led to absorption of many people absorption of many people in unorganized sector, and informal units, full stop. This results in low income and saving capacity, low income and saving capacity, which keeps people relatively poor. Which, no, tell me. In fact, the skill development initiatives have been there in India for last 20, 25 years, if you ask me. You know, TRISEM and IRDP and so on. It all started with skill development issues. The problem is not giving skills needed by market and then not working on those skills upgradation. You know, so placement related skill development is what is the missing link. That is, see, I'll tell you what is the real trouble. If you need jobs for, say, 25 lakh people, even if you create it for 10 lakh, that looks a huge number, but that leaves 15 lakh without one. That is the problem that we have been facing. All right, you take the next one then. Lack of participation of women, in workforce due to various social and economic factors, results in increasing gender inequality. All right. Economic factors not letting the women participate can relate to lack of skill among women, lack of nutrition given to the women. Social factors will be simply the restrictions on women, caregiving responsibility on women. You understand that? Say, for example, this. Initially, before my children were born, me and my wife both would go out to work, and we had a caregiver who would be at home to look after my parents. We would be together. And what she would do, whenever there will be a problem, she would call up my wife. This is a problem. What do I do? What help do I do? One day I objected to it. I said, I have a right to be a participant. Why don't you call me up? Why do you always have to call her? I can cook better. I understand things equally well. I have looked after the house. So in that case, why don't you call me up? She was programmed to believe that if it is a household chore, तो फिर call मैडम को ही करना है, सर को तो डिस्टर्ब नहीं कर सकते. तो ये मेल्स के प्रिविलेज हो जाते हैं जो मेल्स को गिव अप कर देना चाहिए. That allows females to work better in the system. The point is that males should not be taking these privileges if males want a healthy society. So that is what I'm trying to teach you, that those who are privileged are the ones who will give up. No. If men are privileged, men should give up that privilege wherever that privilege is unnecessary. My children should love me because I am their father. They should not be scared of me because I am their father. That is the whole point. And if they are loving me, they will respect me automatically. If they are scared of me, God knows whether they will ever respect me or not. So that is the point we need to understand, that unless we don't leave those privileges, women upliftment is very important. India has a problem where only 21% is the female labor force participation rate. And a lot of it is because caregiving is on the woman. That should go away. आप देखेंगे एक तुम नेक्स्ट जनरेशन होपफुली हम लोगों से तो बेहतर ही होगे. एक आश्चर्य की बात मुझे लगती थी देखने में, if the kid is crying, many times the fathers are found saying, oh, please take him to the other room, I have an office to attend in the morning. And the mother would also dutifully take the kid to the other room. जरूरत ही नहीं है, रो रहा है भाई, आपकी भी बराबर की हिस्सेदारी है, भुगतिए. और अगले दिन सुबह ऑफिस आंख मलते जाइए, natural contraceptive. You will never be thinking about, having another child. क्योंकि आपको भी भुगतना पड़ा अब उस बच्चे को बड़ा करने में. अपने आप लगेगा यार एक बच्चा और होगा, फिर वो भी जगाएगा, ये भी होगा, छोड़ो ठीक ही है, हम लोग सब मामला सेट है. But fathers don't have to look after the kid. They don't even realize how the kid grew up. पहले के समय तो लोग बड़ा प्राउडली बोलते थे, हमें पता ही नहीं चला हमारा बेटा कैसे. अरे ये शर्म की बात, तो बताओ मत इसको कम से कम. At least don't let the kid know about it. That is gender equity that I just thought I have many things in my mind when it comes to gender equity, but just keep this in mind. Once we start changing our society in that way, it's very easy to then make women participate better and also give value to the caregiving work, that if the woman is doing it, then when she is doing it. It's very important. It's very easily sometimes said that you are not earning, hence I will be the decision maker. That's equally a tumultuous thing to do. Shouldn't be done. Yes, yes. It's again a medieval perception. All those people who believe men are biologically stronger should go for a boxing match with Laila Ali. Let's see how many of them can survive. It's training. They should at least go for a arm fist match with Serena Williams. Let's see how many of them can survive. This is rubbish. Biological strength has nothing to do in a world based on service sector. No, why? That's what I'm saying. How does it restrict a working option for a software developer? You don't need any biological growth for that. How does it restrict working option for a teacher? How does it restrict working option for a librarian? A working option for, say, for that matter, even a CEO to run a company. They don't have to do fisty bouts. There's a rubbish argument, believe me. But that's why I said medieval. Medieval, what did you have to do? Fight with swords. But there also we have instances where women who got the chance to fight with swords could do as good as what the men were doing. These are outdated thinking. I don't know how people get these things. Women are as good as men, men are as good as women. So even saying that, oh look, sometimes I see the other way around also. Women are more organized. Rubbish. I am much better organized. Saying women are more organized. लड़कियां तो पढ़ने लिखने वाली होती हैं, तो लड़के उच्चक के लुच्चे होते हैं. वही लड़के भी बराबर पढ़ने वाले होते हैं, एक से एक टॉपर हैं लड़के. In UPSC top 10, 3 are girls, 7 are men only. These are gender prejudices we grow up with. Believe me, these are stereotyping. In UPSC interview they asked a question this year. A boy had mentioned his hobby as cooking, and I think it was Smita Nagaraj's board. She said that how come it's said that women cook better, but most of the famous cooks are men. So these are unnecessary confirmation bias. We are developed like this. हमें लगता है कि ये बातें हैं, ये है नहीं. और काफी दुनिया देखी है मैंने, आप विश्वास करिए, हर तरह की चीज देखी, मुझे लगा कि नहीं, ऐसा कुछ सेग्रीगेट नहीं करता मेन और विमेन को, biologically or even mentally. Even when people say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, no. It's conditioning that makes men from Mars and women from Venus. Conditioning. Men are not conditioned while growing up, दूसरे के घर में जाओगे हमारा नाक कटाओगे. मेन को बड़े होते हुए ये नहीं बोला जाता, विमेन को बार बार बोला जाता है, तो उनकी कंडीशनिंग हो जाती है एक तरह की। 20 साल की गर्ल, 16 साल की गर्ल, 8 साल का बॉय, वो उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने जा रहा है। सोच के देखो, ये अपने आप में कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन है। और ये कितना खतरनाक है, मैं आप मुझे जीएस में भी ये बोलते सुन चुके होंगे, ये कितना खतरनाक है। इफ नाउ देयर इज सम ट्रबल, दिस बॉय विल हैव टू बी लिफ्टेड एंड देन रन। इसको उठा के भागो, इसकी खुद की तो औकात है नहीं कुछ। But now that 8-year-old boy or 10-year-old boy is having a false belief mentally that I am stronger than this female. And the female is given that false belief that I might be the weaker sex. So you got to see, unless you don't give women empowerment, allow them to fail, allow them to experiment the way we allow our boys. So that is the key factor if you ask me. But biological thing, it's a myth, believe you me on that. Yes. अगर मुझसे पूछो तो मैन वर्सेस वुमन या वर्सेस होना ही नहीं चाहिए। जेंडर इक्विटी इज बाय जेंडर कोऑपरेशन, नॉट बाय जेंडर by any kind of gender fight. If genders cooperate, respect each other, gender equity will come. Women versus women इसलिए बनता है because there are sections of women now coming up. So a female mother-in-law exploiting a female daughter-in-law so that she doesn't have a female child has no man in it. So gender exploitation is a lot about patriarchy as a society. It's not patriarchy per se as men being exploitative. Understand that. Whosoever gets that patriarchal rights starts becoming exploitative. So that is what I'm trying to teach you if you ask me gender equity. It's not that men will be responsible for all exploitation, it's systemic. So there can be many instances where men are very liberal and they might be willing, some of you might be experiencing it in case of your fathers and your mothers. And they can be exactly on the opposite side of the spectrum, that getting permission from father might be easier in some cases than getting permission from a mother. So and mothers might be putting those same objections to you, which you would normally hear in a patriarchal society from the group of men. Or women commenting on other women's clothes. I mean, that's the least ridiculous thing I would ever observe. So that is my point to you, that this is patriarchy inbuilt, to judge people on the basis of clothes, to judge people on the basis of accent, to judge people on the basis of their methods of talk, what do they do, whom do they sit up with, and so on. ये बात समझा रहा हूँ, ये सोसाइटी का माइंडसेट होता है। आप दो लोग आपस में दोस्ती से बात कर लो, आप अलग जेंडर के हो, ये बहुत नॉर्मल होना चाहिए। अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे सोसाइटी में ये आपके जनरेशन तक भी नॉर्मल नहीं है। और यही एक तकलीफ की बात है जो मुझे कभी कभी लगती है, कि अगर बड़ी आश्चर्य की बात लगती है मुझे। दो लोग, आप जिस दिन आप भूल गए कि जेंडर कौन सा है, वो जेंडर इक्विटी हो गया उसी दिन। फॉर मी यू गाइज आर स्टूडेंट्स, men, women can take a break. I don't see you like that. You are my students, period. You can be man, you can be woman, you can be transgender, I don't care. But that is how the society should look at it. It shouldn't matter whether you are a man or a woman. When people say you should remain dignified in the presence of a woman, so you can remain undignified with men. That's so ridiculous, no? Dignity is something we should always try withholding. It should come normally to humans, that I should live a dignified life. So that is my point, So yes, it is created as versus women also at times. But remember, patriarchy is never only about men. It's a lot about the system that gets created. All right, then you take the next pointer. You write, the productivity of MSME, especially MSME in rural areas, is much lesser compared to compared to productivity of large scale industries. Productivity of large scale industries. Again, remember that leads to rise in inequality. Those who are running large scale industries, working in them, earn much better than those in the rural system. All right. Along with that, you can also include the points of poverty. All right. Many of them for reasons of inequality too. All right. It kind of gets included there. Then there was a question. अब ध्यान से सुनना मेरी बात. ये GS में question था, but आपको idea रहना चाहिए. The question was, examine how careless and useless employment leads to lack of inclusive growth. Now remember, careless employment is when you are doing casual work. You don't have a regular work. Somebody has a daily construction labor one day, another day the person can be a rickshaw puller, another day the person can be working in a hotel. That is careless work. All right, the person is not learning anything at work, careless work. Useless work is when there is a stable job, but that job is not productive at all. For example, a gatekeeper, working as a cook, working as a driver. Beyond a point, your salary will never rise. You can work for 50 years of your life. You understand that? And such employment again leads to inequality. Do I believe you understand that? Careless and useless employment, if they are thriving in an economy, that leads to inequality. Careless, which is not regular, and useless, where you learn nothing. Why does it create inequality? One, the income level is low. You don't get paid very high for a careless or useless job. Two, there is no learning by doing. There is no division of labor. So you don't get specialized in anything that you do. Three, there is no social security. You are not getting any pension fund. You're not getting any accident compensation. You understand that? But the others who are doing high quality work or organized sector work are getting all that. And that results in inequality in the society. I hope I could reach you on this. Okay. Useless का मतलब जहां तुम सीखे कुछ नहीं, कोई काम का काम नहीं था, कुछ कर रहे हो. हाँ, हाँ. All right. Now you give a heading. You write universal basic income in Indian context. Universal basic income in Indian context. Universal basic income in Indian context. You mean careless and okay, right? No. So you know the data on inequality in India is very weak. We don't have any official way of measuring it very easily. But what we are seeing is that the share of top 1% in India in income group is continuously rising, and the share of bottom 10% in India in total income has been continuously declining. The share, I mean, as a percentage. So if top 1% earn, say, for a second, 33% of total income, the bottom 10% are earning at the moment only 9% of total income, 8% of total income. Earlier it used to be a little better. Rather, now it's 4% of total income. Earlier it used to be slightly better. So that way we are saying inequality has risen. But unfortunately there is no detailed research to convincingly tell us that what are the numbers exactly. Plus remember, we are also very weak on asset inequality in Indian context. But also remember, we went through the liberalization process, and once you liberalize, see, India went through two epochs. ये सब लोग दिमाग में रखना. So 1947 we become independent. The economy opens up, new opportunities arise. Again, who will be in a better position to use these opportunities? The better off one. They take these opportunities, but when the time comes for reforms, that is land reform or asset inequality reform or ease of doing business reform, those reforms don't take place in India. So the result is inequality gets perpetuated. By the time it is 1970s, 80s, the inequality is tremendous. People look equal because people are poor, but overall inequality is high. So now there is a lot of hue and cry, and economy meets a crisis. We do reform, And as we do reform, again now, we don't do reform in the same system. We change the system from a planned economy to a market-based economy, opening new opportunities, FDI, FII, allowing for more investments by private sector, allowing private banks, and so on. So we do that in 1990s. Again, new opportunities arise. Again, who will do better in that? Those who are already better off. Again, the chance to reform could have been what? Go for better education development, healthcare development, and so on. Now we do that, Manrega, etc., Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, Right to Education, National Health Mission. We have been running that. But the point is still not that the trickle down is not yet completely to the people. So what does it do? It again exacerbates the inequality that we have. So when you look at inequality, two major epochs, post 47 till 65, high growth, but then that meant high inequality rise. And then land reform, etc., didn't happen, which meant inequality got perpetuated. And 91 to 2008 again, high growth, that meant inequality rose, but again that meant the remedies could not be done on time. And what is our remedy? Freebies and populism. We saw that happening in 70s and 80s, creating the crisis of 91. Unfortunately, we see India going sometimes on the similar track. You know? In fact, I was pretty happy that Punjab government in the budget that they have just come up with has not announced 1,000 rupees free to each women's scheme. You know? So maybe it was an election gimmick, they have come quite on that. There are many other freebies, but they have come quite on that at least. तो जब मैं पूरा बजट पढ़ रहा था, अभी पंजाब में प्रेजेंट हुआ बजट, तो जब मैं पूरा बजट पढ़ रहा था पंजाब का, मुझे ये देख के बड़ी खुशी हुई कि चलो भैया 100,000 रुपये फ्री का बांट नहीं रहे, कम से कम इतना तो ठीक काम किया. So it was a good thing done, no need to do all that, but that kind of freebies come in when inequality rises. In fact, this sorry, this whole talk of universal basic income comes due to that too. That when you look at universal basic income in a country like India, that is somewhere an acceptance that we can't give employment, skill development, opportunities to all. So let's find another shortcut. Let's give a universal basic income. You know, that these are shortcuts in an Indian context, if you ask me. But I am giving you a very academic debate, because finally you have to write your 150-word answer. So my debate is, what is UBI, benefits of UBI and challenges of UBI. All right, 10 odd minutes is what it takes me. So I know that you would be worried about when will this old man leave us. You know, so I'll be leaving you after that. I'll be left with only one more discussion with you after that, which is jobless growth. So that we can spend 20 minutes tomorrow, finish off, maybe 25 minutes, maybe 30, and then we can have some nice time together. Okay, let's see this. अच्छा, एक सवाल ये इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, मैं वो आप सब लोग समझिए. Equal pay for equal work is a very good idea, but equal work is what? Equal productivity, right? Equal work is also equal presence at work. You know what I'm trying to teach you again, and this is, the women should not throw at me something, you know. But I've seen many times the women playing the women's card, and they should not be doing that. You badly injure your equality due to that. When you play the women's card, in whichever sense you play it, you might think men are fool and they are not getting it. They are actually getting it very well, and they realize that now you are in their trap, because you are the first one who played the women's card. Now they can throughout keep treating you as the fairer sex. And treating as the fairer sex means what? If I'll pull the chair for you, and if I'll give you a seat in the metro, then believe me, I'm taking you as the weaker sex. Then you can't complain, why am I considered weak? Because you are presenting yourself to be weak. Don't do that. God has not given me daughter. मुझे आप ही लोग नजर आते हो. मुझे daughter भी होते हो तो मैं उनको यही समझाता हूँ. अपने women card मत play करो, charity मत मांगो, women होने की दुहाई मत दो. मैं lady हूँ तो आप मुझसे ऐसे बात नहीं. आप किसी से कोई भी कैसे भी बात करेगा, ये open world है. अगर आप कार लेके निकले हैं रोड पर और आपकी कार किसी के साथ टक्कर लगी, तो तैयार रहिए, फिर आपके साथ भी वही होगा जो मेल्स के साथ होता है. Then don't play the women's card. I'm just saying that. So if the women can stop doing that, believe me, they will do great for their own upgradation. Sometimes the women play the women's card and they actually dig the pit for themselves, and not only for themselves, they dig it for other women also. You know, please understand that. So always remember, if this is a wholesome understanding of society, you know, if the women think that you know, My sexual card can get me something that's equally troublesome. And believe me, they are creating trouble for many other women by doing this. You know? Or if the women feel that the empowered men are the ones I should look up to, again a trouble part. You know, then you are telling men you get empowered and you can exploit us, then we won't mind it. So social messaging has to be correct. My point is just that. You know, so just thought that I should tell you this since we discussed gender equity. Gender equity is about controlling patriarchy, and controlling patriarchy is wholesome in nature. That's why I said the women's card part actually. I hope I'm clear in what I'm saying and you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Yes, yes. There are behavioral aspects, but you can actually condition those behavioral aspects. So you can train people to take up skills that ideally they may not have been prepared to take. But people can be trained to do that and then they can do pretty okay on that. You know? But yes, there are behavioral, there are cultural aspects. Some people may not be willing to do few things across. So that's a possibility, but you can do that. I mean, that's cognitive. Okay, let me just then get over with this with you. You write, okay, you write this up, you write, UBI is Universal Basic Income. UBI was introduced as a concept, in Sweden and Finland, in the beginning of 21st century, in India, it was introduced by Economic Survey in 2016-17. Full stop. The concept means that everybody should get, in a bracket you write universal. That is why everybody, nobody should be left alone. Everybody should get. So universal. Everybody should get a basic sustainable amount for meeting minimum requirements, in a bracket you write basic. Basic means whatever is minimum needed, you should get that. Such that, you write that, such that it is given with no condition attached, at particular periodic interval. That is income. You know, that is universal basic income. Everybody should get the money, should be a minimum amount, and there should be no conditions attached. You write in the same thing, this will allow in treating people as agents. So agents means free agents, people who can take their own call, choose their own things. So as agents rather than subjects. subjects प्रजा को बोलते हैं. Alright, so rather than subjects. Then हाँ नहीं तुम रुक ही जाओ आज. मैं इसलिए रोक रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे 15 मिनट और लगेंगे और मुझे मेरे ख्याल से हमारे पास शायद है नहीं अभी. So what's the time like right now? एक समय में 15 मिनट का वेरिएशन. 5:30 से 5:45 तक का. 6 भी बज गए एक आधे लोग तो बोल रहे हो. All right. No, I'll tell you why. No, I'll not do this discussion in a hurry. So that's okay. We can spend 15 minutes tomorrow, and then half an hour is what it will take me on jobless growth. I'll finish that up, and then we can have our fun. So please be there tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, and we get over then. Thank you. Have a great day. देखो मेरे हिसाब से तो खाना पीना होगा, बाकी जो करना है वो तुम कर लेना. I'll see you then. Thank you. Lydia, I'll just take a second. Lydia, I'll be putting that in the test paper. So since Professor Sen's idea of development I have not done with you today. Gini coefficient and all I will be teaching you. Palmer ratio you don't need, but Gini coefficient and inequality measures I will be teaching you. Landless labor can be useless employment. Babas performing religious chant is knowledgeable work, Shubham, isn't it? They make fool of all of us. नहीं कृष्ण सही लिखे हैं बिल्कुल. Female LFPR is 21% according to CMIE Srishti, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Yes, you can add Gunnar Myrdal theory. Srishti, I am answering your question. हाँ ठीक है कृष्ण सही कह रहे हो. Mohalla clinics have been not very functional if you ask me. Yeah, state budget policies are not popular. Nikita, I am answering your question. Unregistered street vendors unfortunately don't get any fund. Taps are very much functional. Nikita, again I am answering your question. No, Mudra Yojana is not a major contributor to NPA. That's a wrong news. Aman, I was answering your question. ऑनलाइन वाले लाइव देख सकते हैं प्रोग्राम को. थैंक यू अंजू, थैंक यू अनुषा, थैंक यू लिडिया. Perfect. So I will be coming to Meghalaya and I hope I can see you there. बोल ना. बस. I'll check if she is free to come. तुम्हारे क्लास के डिस्कशन के इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट. नहीं वो मेरे बारे में बता रही क्या क्या बताएगी. I'll check. अगर उसका कोई प्रायर अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं है तो I'll ask her to drop it. Alright? Surely. Yeah, but she doesn't listen to me. As I told you, I believe in giving all. Sure. I'll do that. No, I'll ask her, surely. Would love her to be a part. Yes, there should be more exposure if you ask me. Thank you all of you online. I'll just take 1 second. I'll see you tomorrow 2:50 then, people online. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.